Hey guys, and welcome to episode 3 of the ABCs of Building series. This one is about pathways and placement. Now, this is probably the third time I've recorded this because I kept forgetting to unmute my microphone, but we're going with it. So, something that I see very commonly in this game, especially with new players, is people placing single file pathways with no turn, but rather a 90-degree angle. And then at the end of this, they might have a ride or so. Place a single queue path, which is a big problem because only 2 to 3 bots can go in here, and you'll get 20% less money per ride, right? Because people will realize, oh hey, this line's too short, I gotta go find something else to do. Something else I see a lot is a very strange placement of the exit. Unless you have a specific reason, which there are some out there, people who like to place right here or even right over here usually don't get as much bang for their buck, and they end up having to create paths that go around the ride, all the way around, give it a walk around porch maybe, or even worse in some situations, have to build out and go around this way. Now they'll have it a lot more flat, if anything. So ignore the strange curves there. And they might put some nature in this green spot over here. But in general, I would suggest having the exit near or around the entrance if possible. If in the same station, that's even better, because the bots will not have to walk as far just to get back to the actual park, which loses you a lot of money. If anything, and you really choose to have a walk around path, I would make use of the one-way signs here. These things can be a lifesaver, especially in a money farm. So keep that out for any time you're making a money farm. Put these around places you don't want bots to go, and it'll save you hundreds of seconds, maybe even minutes of time. So now we're going to be talking about the actual dynamics of the pathing. I like to, instead of having a single file, make sure that the path is actually much wider. Personally, I really like the number 3. So I like to make all my paths about 3 wide and however long. I like that number 3 so much, I'm gonna make another rule of 3 like the one we had last time. This time we're gonna be talking about the width, which I already covered, the height, and the natural and the curve of the path. That last one is not 2 more rules, it's just 1 rule still. So we already have the width, but I would also, for any park you have, to keep it from looking flat and mundane, which I see way too much, is to give it a ramp or a stair path and just put it in right at the end there. Oops, I guess I placed that one wrong. And you just use the terrain tool, go up one, and just keep going. You can see me use this in quite a few parks. I'm sure if you go to any other professional park, you'll see this used a lot too. And you can just keep going up as much as you want till you're at the point you want to be at. And of course you can use this going down as well. You don't need to just always go up. Now, of course, it's important to also, especially when you're beginning the park, know at what point you want to start going up, because it really changes the type of park drastically. Say you want to make a mountain park like this, you would go up by, again, 3. You'd make a line of 3. So say we start here, make a line of 3, and then go up by a block. Try to get that up there. And then you do it again. You get to the end here, go up by a block, raise the terrain to fit, and there you go. you'll start to have a very steep mountain. Let's widen this guy out a little bit. But say you wanted a more mellow Plainsville or Valley type park. Then you would see what number works best. I'm gonna go with, let's say 5 here. So we go up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we place one of these, fill in the rest of the space, and then we go up. And you can just keep doing that until you get to where you want to. You can see that while it's gone around the same distance, this one is already on the, what is that, the 3rd block, while this is still on the 2nd. And over time, this one will be far larger than this one through what's called an exponential curve. Now, it's also important to have platforms per each section or so. Making use of like main areas, such as this. You could have a fountain here, a food court, some buildings, anything you want. But just making sure that you give a flatter part to rest. Doesn't even need to be completely flat. You can go up by, say, 1 block every so often. And you can put rides here, whatever you want. Now, the next part, which is equally as important, is the actual curving. So, say you have a rock park that's just going straight, and you want it to go to the left. So most people would probably just go like this. Now this isn't necessarily bad. Some people prefer this style. I consider it more man-made, and I like to make a lot more natural parks. But if you are making, say, a factory or some kind of maybe steampunk ride, a city block, it's fine to use this more jagged style. But personally, what I really like to do is using the Minecraft rules that I mentioned last episode, go by 2 or 3 and make these curves. You see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you also have to delete on this side to make it follow. You don't need to make it exactly follow, but give it a general similar feeling, and over time this will make a nice, beautiful curved feeling to your entire pathway. Now there are 2 main types of parks that I see a lot, and I just want to talk about them and what to try to avoid while making them. And that is a straightaway park, which, imagine this is the entrance over there, and this is the back over there. They'll just, still going up and down, they'll just go straight over to the end. Now, this is an acceptable style, but what I would recommend is making sure the path goes in some direction, like this. So it's not just straight to. So if we're imagining that's the entrance, that's the back, it would kind of curve this way to get here. Of course, you have all this area empty, and unless you're using that place for detailing, you could, make a path go out here and try to make it end at the same place. Now another style that I have actually used, you can see it right here, starts at the entrance and already goes out 3 separate ways to really make as much use of the entire park as possible. People use this style when they want to have less area that they need to focus on detailing, and this area when they want to make use of as much of the space as possible. Now I would recommend, especially with this one, to really meet up at the end here to make a general flow and circular motion, so that the bots and even just other players looking around have a anchor to go back to. So when they get to the end, they can just go right back using one of the paths, and they're not just limited to staying in that specific area and having to go right back. Now, something that you'll see a lot of use with, especially with these types, is the transport trains. And I haven't really seen too many transports in a long time, but I'd really like to see more people start creating a system for the bots to get everywhere around the park easily. And not only easily, but in a way that you want them to. Using transport trains gives you the ability to let people see what you want them to see. So along the path of the transport train, you can control what part of the park that they'll be looking at, like a tour. Now you can see that I'm making big use of this kind of half curve here and the up and down blocks, because even if it's just a transport train and the main goal is for it to get from A to B, which I should actually make an A to B. So say, let's use fabric. Say you have a station over here, a station over here, and a station over here, the trifecta, the triangle of the park. Even if you're just trying to get from here to here, going in a straight motion is generally not a good idea, because it can, especially since the train ride is usually quite slow, it can really bore anybody who's on it. Even if this would get them there faster, if they're bored, it feels slower. So let's try to like slowly, don't do it too much. I feel like I might have overdone it here, but if you just have the general feeling of going in a more flowing direction, going with the feel of the park rather than just some John Henry tunnel that you've dug out, it'll make it feel like the park has more accompaniment. It'll feel like all the parts are not separate from each other, but really add to each other. So say I have a mountain right here, instead of just making a tunnel that goes through it, which is also an option you could have, but I might go along the side of the mountain, going up and down for specific sections, you know, kind of hugging the wall of the mountain here. Of course, usually it's a better idea, especially when making rides, to build the actual layout of the ride first and the mountain or whatever nature second, just because it can become very difficult to have to adhere to the mountain that you've made while trying to make a good ride. Especially when you're trying to make it smooth, it's kind of difficult to keep it smooth while also not going into the mountain. So we've hit station C here, and most important part is connecting it back. Now let's go up a little bit. Let's give it a nice fun bump. Let's go up, turn a bit back, go down a little bit, and still stay in the air. So we go this way, turn it up, go down a little bit, bump it up, and then we should make it right back to where we started. Look at that. How do I connect this? Whoops. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just... Wait, that didn't work either. Well, now I'm just stuck in a loop. Okay, well, imagine that connected at the end there. So we have a nice, natural-looking ride going along the park. Now I'm going to build a quick mountain over here. Nothing special, no blocks, just nice terrain to show you what I meant by going along. I'll do a quick time lapse. I got a little bit lazy there. If you could see, I was using the 2x2 block, which left a lot of holes. Of course, I suggest not doing that, but for a quick tutorial video like this, it's fine. So you can see that the ride here now goes along the mountain, going up and down, curving in and out to kind of hug the wall here. So I believe that is all the pathing information I can give for now. Let's move on to placement after I delete all of this. And there ends the most unsatisfying cleaning session I've ever been through. And since I had to suffer through it, so do you. So there you go. For the placement, I'm going to create an example. I'm going to build a pathway, a village with only 2 buildings, and I'm going to give you a couple minutes, probably only seconds, to guess where I'm going to place the 3rd building to really wrap it all together. And if you get it correct, then I will give you my cookie clicker account. Just comment down below, I'll give it to you. So I'm gonna stop here because this could go on for hours, really. I just made some simple houses, nothing really to learn from them, just trying to keep them consistent with each other but still have separate looks so that you don't have a boring repeating village, but it still has some consistency. Of course, I've left some space every so often for storytelling details or more pathing, maybe a stall or two. But I'm going to zoom out here, and I want you to guess where I plan to put the next building to really tie this whole thing together. Now, I'll want you to notice before that how these two are spaced, and guess how the next one should be. Will I put it here, here, or here? I'll give you a couple minutes for that. Alright, seems you've made your decision, or not. You know, some people just choose not to. And I'm going to build the next building right here. And I'm going to give it a completely different rotation from these two. You see, these two kind of have a straight look. This next one, I'm going to have go in a more horizontal direction to really tie in and block off for the village. See, I chose not to put it here, as it would have the same direction as the next two, and it would start looking a bit Twilight Zoning. If you've ever seen the movie Edward Scissorhands, that's kind of what I'm alluding to. Right here isn't necessarily a bad spot, but it would leave this entire area open and keep the village from enclosing itself, which, especially in a theme park, is something you'd like to do. If you've ever been to Disneyland, they have an amazing science of closing off each area using nature and See Me Not Blue to kind of enclose each area, making them look larger than they actually are. So now I'm going to finish up the building back here. There we have it. I tried to make a barn for all of you barn geeks out there. I gotta say, it's probably one of the ugliest I've ever made. I guess I just didn't put enough time and love into it. But it really puts together... Ooh. Interesting. It really brings together the entire village to have one placed right at the end at a different angle. And generally, there's not really much information I can give on placement, more than just practice it, and you'll start to notice what looks right and what looks not as right. Now, I think that's everything I'm gonna go over for today. Placement isn't really my favorite thing to teach or to really talk about, but I've noticed that it kind of comes to me quite naturally by this point, and it's a little more difficult for other people. So I wanted to get this video out there just to kind of throw my word out there. So thank you for watching once again, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Wanted to do a little train ride, you know. What is that sound? What is that? It's getting louder? No, it can't, it couldn't be. No, oh god, the memories are coming back. No.